welcome to the next episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome to a new episode.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay. So we're going to continuing a little bit from where we stopped last time. But this time around, I want to talk about a few things and Bants, right?
Okay.
So first and foremost, let's just jump right into it. No need for any recap. The roles. So we've spoken about the differences between men and women, male, female. So now, the question. Based on these differences, do you think that there are roles for men and women in society? So in the society, in the home, in politics. Yeah, let's
Okay. So I don't think any rules in our societies and politics should be based on gender. I don't
okay.
think any rules, and even the family itself, the rules in terms of assigned tasks, I don't think it should really be based on gender. Even though sometimes tailoring it to gender can help to make it easier to what do you call it, to give or to share.
Yeah.
The only rule that I think that is based on that is gender based is the whole leadership subordination thing, which is a Christian matter, but it's between husband and wife, leader of the home.
Okay, so but that's in the home now.
That's in the home, yes.
Okay.
But apart from that, all the other rules in the house, chores, tasks, I don't think any of them should be, even in the society, in politics, I don't think any of them should be based on whether a person is a man or a woman.
Okay. So now we're going to go to the home last, but let's talk about in the society. Now, if truly there are differences, right, and there's a way you can say rules should not be based on gender, man or woman, and people can weaponize that to mean if rules should not be based on gender, then it's okay if a particular political office, or we see that within, let's say, the Senate or House of Rep or within governors, it's okay that 100% of all those people are male, because it shouldn't be based on gender. So it's almost like saying there's no difference in gender and everything. So when we put it that way, that is one effect of saying it shouldn't be based on gender. On the other side, if we now say it should be based on gender, the question is why? What about it should be based on gender? Is it now that they will give you office of the first lady or something ridiculous like that? Because where's the balance there, right? Should we now be more deliberate in saying, as much as it shouldn't be based on gender, we still want to see 50-50? Should we force an outcome?
No. Okay, so where I differ on that matter is that I think it should be based on personality types. And if we are faithful to it, I think rules should be based on who is best fit. Exactly. Okay, and if we let rules be based on who is best fit, certain personality types will thrive better in certain roles.
Okay.
Well, that's one. And if certain personality types are thriving in certain personality roles, certain personality types that are more common with certain genders will result in that gender being more represented in that role.
Okay, so let's use examples so we are not geeking out too much. Let's use example of politics, right?
Okay.
Governorship in a place like Nigeria, for example. Currently, we have 100% men.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
So,
I know as if women haven't tried, but I don't know. Is it that society is not there, or?
Okay, so many of our societies were still coming back from the, we talked about in the last place. So we're still coming out from our past way of looking at the world, about masculinity versus femininity and all that. So because of that, there are actually cultural stereotypes and societal issues that could actually hold back women deliberately. That is even when they are fit and all that, from certain positions. But even in the most egalitarian societies, I think men are still overrepresented. I don't have my fact, but I think so. I think men are still overrepresented. The reason is because
why? Yeah,
the personality types that makes for being a good politician are personality types that are more common with men.
I want to say something, and funny enough, I think we're going to talk about it in some episodes to come. It's just something that I've been thinking about. So if we say personality types and we say some of the roles. We've gotten to where we've gotten to. So where we are is where we are, right? And we found out that there are more personalities with some type of role. So to be more specific, it looks like most of these roles, leadership roles, seem to attract people with more masculine traits. And I still have a thing against how we have made leadership traits almost synonymous with masculine traits. But I think the world is having its some form of reset. So I want to paint a scenario for you now. With the way the world is now, right, looking at guys, at the fact, so we're just joking not too long ago, in the studio, where a certain guy who may or may not be a director on set said something like, if he sees a snake, he's going to run. And I'm like, we are running. The girls are running. Everybody is running. And I know it's something that is most likely going to happen. Yes, we've seen all those nice videos of guys jumping into the fire to save. But and here is this my personal opinion. I don't want to, let me not say femboys. Some people are calling there's a terminology as femboys and we know who they are referring to. But I'm not even talking of that now. I'm just talking of guys generally, like the soft life is what is killing them, right? So even this trait that we've almost made synonymous with leadership, how do you think the future is going to be? Do we really think, or is that really now going to be a true test to see whether we are actually truly so biased as a society and we only just want men to lead?
Okay, so it's not really like that. It's not as though we're really biased. It's because at the end of the day, what politics takes will prune out certain people. And that's why if you see the women that are, okay, so this is the thing. First of all, for you to be a politician, you have to be like in the top 1% of certain personality types. So first of all, if you're looking at the bell curve, you're not even in the middle. You are the tail. Now, for you to be at the tail, we're talking about some personality types that are extremely rare, rare and extremely uncommon. Now, when you're talking about personality types at the tails of people of the population, there are some personality types that at the tails are more common with men, that men are largely overrepresented. For example, we're talking about extreme disagreeableness. Men are more represented.
Serial killers.
Yeah. If you're talking about extreme aggression, men are more represented. If you're
Violent
talking about
people.
extreme, all those kinds of things.
Agreeos.
Exactly.
So you can see the trend of people that I'm calling for you.
Be calming down.
Okay.
Right. So that means that for a job like politics that requires you to be in the top 1% of certain personalities, because being a politician is actually not easy.
Yeah.
Actually not funny. By the time you do that and you say, even if you say everybody go and do politics, by the time the work starts, it's not all men that can cope. The men that will be remaining that can cope will be very few, and even less women will be represented. That's why even in the most egalitarian societies, it's still at the end of the day, you still see men more being there.
But most of those societies now have females as their PMs.
No, I'm not saying that you will not see women.
Presidents.
You will see.
And those are like the highest set of offices.
See, and go and check all those women. They are not regular. Just like the men, they also. Look at them. There are women that remove the skirt on their body. And the way they behave is what people generally, culturally, stereotypically say, this is what these way men behave.
I don't think so. So looking at I don't know if it was New Zealand, I can't remember, PM or so. I don't know her so well though, but I don't think she comes across as someone who is really masculine.
Did you see her?
I know she deals with people. But forget it, mothers can be really strict and things like that.
So don't look at this argument as this is for men alone. Women will always be there. I'm talking about the proportion.
Yeah.
If it's that one, you will always see women. That one is not an issue.
But I don't know. I think that with the way the society is going and the fact that guys, like everybody wants soft life now and all of that, I think it will now be a true test to show. I can't wait to see what the next 50 years look like when it comes to all these things, barring forcing outcomes, getting the society to a point where, right, it's easy for any personality type, any gender. I think you will see more women coming up to roles, because now we're talking of politics.
You will see more.
Yeah.
If it's that one, you will see more. But what I'm disputing is that I don't think you will see in certain types of jobs, not all. I don't think you will see, and there are some roles also that you will see more men being represented. The less we allow stereotypes to affect us, you'll see more men represented, but there will always be more women there. Don't forget that study that we talked about, the one in Scandinavian countries. that many were done over and over. Different universities have done the same study over and over. The results keep coming back the same. You know, one particular story that I even liked most was 158 countries. I found out that, see, the freer a society becomes, the more you allow women to have their own choice, to choose what they want to be, the more
Soft
different,
life.
the more different
Well,
their
let me not say
choices.
soft life, yeah, but
The more
different.
different.
Yeah.
It's not soft life. It's the type interest.
Yeah.
The more different the kind of choices they will make. So it's not just even about the personality fit. It's also the kind of the choice, the interest of people. Not everybody is interested in the amount of fight and violence required in politics. Politics actually requires a lot of aggression, a lot of knowing that this person is your enemy and scheming to be your enemy, and you're willing
Is
to
that a
deal with the
Nigerian
person.
politics thing, or is it
It's
general
universal.
thing?
It's a general thing.
Even in the
Politicians are not
more
good people.
democratic and calmer
Politicians are not good
societies.
people anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So now let's come to the home, right? Are there rules based on gender in
Yeah,
marriage?
so assigning tasks in the house, I think couples should sit down and talk about who they will and assign the roles for themselves. I don't think any role should be based on whether a man is a
Yeah.
man. Any role is based on a man or a woman. It should be based on what is best for your family. So I think the family should come together and discuss it. Now, the truth is that when you are discussing, it's right, because when you are discussing it, what you find out is that based on the difference between men and women, you know, we say men are different, not just in biology, but in interests and in the average personality types. Right? These are scientific stuff. Because of that, you will find out that some roles will keep being more of the husbands doing it, and some roles will keep being more of the wives. But it should not be set in stone for any
Definitely.
family. For example, all over the world, no matter where you do it, because of the whole nurturing dichotomy, you know, the whole difference between men and women, at the end of the day, it is the person that is at home more that will do more of things like cooking and housekeeping. And because of the fact that most of the time, especially in a home where the wife is going to have children and raise children, most of the time, not all the time, the
Yeah.
woman will end up being at home more. So if you follow that trend, what you find is that most of the time, it is the wives that will be doing more of the home housekeeping, and the men will be doing other things like repairs, car, and all that. You know, just natural. But you shouldn't say this is what a woman must do. There's no reason why. You can actually set up your family and say it's the husband that will be cooking.
It's whatever works for you.
Yes.
Like I know guys who like cooking and things like that. But another point I want to make now is, so you bring up something that I've always been thinking about, and that's around stay-at-home moms, right? I think for people who have not yet been regenerated, is that the word I want to say? But people whose minds are still very wicked and carnal, I almost feel like, right, putting more laws to recommend how they do things. And one of the things that we really say that we should put in place is around stay-at-home moms, right? We need to get it into people's minds that stay-at-home moms are not people are not doing anything. Like, let me give an example. If I think that if more guys were stay-at-home dads, we will see that stay-at-home mom, they will consider it a proper profession.
This thing you said, so you still have to say something.
No, I'm good.
This thing you said is, you know, is a salutation to what we said earlier. It is true that where our society is coming from, we valued those external things as more, and because of that, it rippled into valuing male children more. But, and like I said, that's actually the problem, because those things in themselves are not necessarily the most important things for building a society or for building a family. And the reason is that because we valued masculinity and all those kinds of things more, we tend to think that those other feminine things are not so important. For example, housekeeping, managing the home, and all those kinds of things. By the time more men begin to do it, the society will begin to recognize
help me.
that
They will start shouting.
just as important, just as the warriors and the builders were important to society, the person keeping the home was equally important, because you can't be fighting wars. What are you protecting?
And then exactly. And then somewhere at the back of your mind, you know that if you come home, whatever you see, you take it like that. Like it can be.
Who are you building houses for? Who are you building buildings for? Who are you going to coal mines for? What are you fueling? What are you generating fuel for? It is for the home. So that means that The job was the traditional masculine things that were out there, even though our society began to prioritize them and see them as more important just because they were the ones we were seen outside. The things that are not seen are as important.
Yeah.
So we actually shouldn't see people that are taking care. That's why we are forced now that women are working to be paying for housekeeping. We are just beginning to scratch the surface of how important a job it is, right?
And that's a quick way to even value it. Like if you were to pay a housekeeper and someone else, you were to pay a cook, you also to pay a nanny, and then to pay a driver.
Can I say something? One of the reasons why housekeepers are not even as paid as much is because our society still thinks that work is not so important.
That's in Nigeria.
Funny enough, that's in Nigeria. Let me just say it like that. Because it's the societies where they understand the value of
minimum wage.
You
will pay the child. You pay the person
your child
minimum
for
wage.
2 hours. You pay through your nose. Then you go and watch your child by yourself.
Yep.
Because it's actually important. So our society should stop thinking a woman that is a housewife, she's not really doing much. In real terms, if you want to value what she's doing with money, it's actually a lot.
Sure.
So our husbands should be paying their wives.
I agree. I agree. It's just that me, I won't collect because me myself, I pay myself.
Okay, but that statement is just to, because at the same time.
But there's a danger though, right? Because again, like I said, I don't know what better. I don't know. I'm using for minds that for people that don't have the Holy Spirit. Let me just put it that way, right? The moment we go down this trajectory, I know Patriarchy FC. They will come out and say, yeah, pay me too for drain generator, pay me too for driving around, and then we just go down this rabbit hole.
Yes. So we're not saying that anybody should be paid for doing what is good for the family.
I'm saying you should be paid.
No, we can't go down. That was just a statement to make an emphasis.
Yeah,
we can't really do that, but at the same time, we have to actually.
But if that's what it would take for people to get to get it right, it's unfortunate. But anyway, back to roles in marriage. So yeah, you've clarified that when it comes to roles, by roles I mean cooking, cleaning.
Anybody can do anything as long as family can discuss it. If you marry a guy that's more at home and he's and his personality is amenable to it, let him be the one cooking. There's no big deal. Yeah, you understand? Let the wife that knows about. You remember when we first got married? And if whenever it's car issues, you first ask. They said this thing's wrong in the car. You understand? I'll be doing the run around, but you say this thing's wrong in the car. You want to open and say, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and all that. It doesn't really follow. Even the same thing with even taking care of the kids. Yeah. Right. It should not be that it's the wife that must do it. The truth is that most of the time,
that one is very close to my heart, and it's very close to my heart because I saw a tweet recently, and the person was saying how some guys also pay the price of not taking care of their kids, where in their old age, like you now want to start building a relationship with your child in old age when you have been absent, right, throughout the whole child's life, in the name of trying to cater for the family. And it's almost, and which leads me to the next questions I want to ask. It's almost a thing where I don't know, guys are, would I say, their brain is one direction.
That's sexist.
Yeah, whatever. So when they are facing work, it's difficult for them to. I can just think of the traditional African father. I just came back from work. I'm tired. I want to sleep. And you really don't know your children. So like you're not playing an active role. And for all intents and purposes, like they might be doing their best to make sure there's a roof over the head of their family. So that's why they are working that hard. But you find out that they're not spending time with their child. And it's almost as if they're trying to equate all the energy they're bringing and the child is supposed to get. But you can see that nowadays people are not buying that anymore. You have to be a present father. You have to come for my open day and my taekwondo recital or whatever. And so that's another reason why we really need to break off this. The roles must be this and that. I think we've come past that as a society. We're somewhere else.
But what I would advocate for is that we need to be kind and gentler with people. We need to understand that men are not like this now just because they are bad people.
Yes, I agree.
That is my own problem with the narrative on social media.
You see, that's what I was trying to say, that they are coming, some of these men, let me not generalize too, but most of these people are coming from a good place. Like, they are back-breaking things that some men are doing to keep a roof over the head. There are stories where you hear once in a while of things that, how my father, these are the pains that children don't see, and much later they now begin to think about it and like, oh my god, that time my dad did this. He was actually going through a lot. Recently I found out something about my dad, and the thing brought tears to my eyes. I'm like, growing up, I just knew my dad as that, perfect person who was doing. I didn't know what he was going through, as well.
Yeah. So what I'll say is that we need to be kinder. We need to be more gentle with people.
Yeah.
That's one of my problems with the narrative, right? Especially from the radical feminist types. This idea of
trying to make people is trying to look
as
for
if
bad.
as if the men are bad for being like that, and you have to first understand that the conditioning that made us like this, that made us think of men like this and all that, it comes from thousands of years of human civilization. It's not because you have social media now that you just make men and makes the society to stop acting a certain way, whether the thing is good or not. That's number one. Number two, we shouldn't be so arrogant as to think that our ancestors that were behaving one certain ways because they were all stupid.
Yeah, very important.
Many of those things were done for fit. They were fit for purpose of their time. Do you understand? The luxuries that we have now to be talking about my father is not around and everything. If you look at their past societies, the way society was and everything, it was working. It was the cooperation of men and women that made their society become like that. It's not as if men naturally decided that this is how we want society to be. This is the kind of people we want to be. No, the society became like that because of condition that they were in. So
just another side note, anytime I think about that thing, I'm like, I don't know how people see it too. But anytime people say, oh, we've gotten to where we are because of the patriarchy, there's something that always pains me, right? And it's like, when you say things and you ascribe and give responsibility for everything that is happening, both good and bad, by the way, to men, I'm like, what did you think women were?
Exactly.
Were they figureheads? Please
it's
give
a reverse.
Give women if you want to be really free, also give women the freedom to be bad.
Yeah.
Like they were also terrible people in their own rights, right? Yeah. But to me, the way I see it, there's that little thing that maybe it's because you see women as less than that you think that they too didn't have the mind to be bad. Women too were bad, and they were obonge bad people. Like, do you understand? So give both people their
very, very
their own king.
It's part of the reason why I do not subscribe to the exceptional badness of white people, because if you are going to ascribe agency to only one particular group, that means you have to admit that group was more competent. Yes. So it's a kind of you want to be a feminist, but the very principle of what you are doing is in the reverse, ascribing low agency to women.
Yeah.
If we insist that men and women are equal, then you have to also insist that men and women have agency. And then you have to insist that men and women have been competent and capable of doing what they've been doing.
Whether good or whether bad. Yeah.
So that means that you cannot in one breath say men are responsible for everything and still say that women are equal.
Yeah.
It's incoherent. Yeah. Do you understand?
I agree.
And so that is why actually the truth is that whatever you see in human society got there because men and women agreed that it should be there.
I agree.
Anything you see in human society, it got there because men and women agreed that it would be there. The majority of men live their lives for their women, either their wives or their sisters or their mothers. The majority. Overwhelming majority of men. Overwhelming majority of women are shaping their men the way they want them to be.
Yeah.
All the world leaders in the world that you know and everything, there's a woman somewhere pressing their button. Do you understand?
Yep.
Most of the everything. So if you see something in society, all the gender-based violence and suffering that we see, you always see that there was one woman, there's a woman somewhere, a mother or a sister that is encouraging the woman to go back to the man that is beating her. You hear of a father that is telling her daughter, why are you going to that house? Come back to me. Do you understand that kind of thing?
So, sometimes some of those fathers can't even talk to the mothers.
Yeah, so any society, like it's the same thing with the whole white-black thing too. When people talk about, that in the Vex, where I always tweet about it. They'll say,
calm down.
Our people were innocent. White people just came and took everything. What do you think we were, monkeys on a tree? The people don't even understand
I think
the
people
truth.
think,
like,
actually,
our people were just
like that.
Dum-dums and they couldn't do anything about it. Don't you know that when you agree that our ancestors could not do anything about it, that means those racist white people were right to say that they were smarter than us.
To admit that, yes, it's because they were smarter.
Everything you see, I can speak for West Africa, I can speak for my country. Everything that you see, it was our elites that negotiated it.
Yeah.
Anything that happened to Africa, the carrying of slaves, we had slaves long, we taught them. We were raiding each other for, you don't understand? We have been having prisoners of war for thousands of years, literally, and taking slaves. When the white people came, we had slaves waiting for them to sell. for us to sell. Anything that you see, our ancestors, the kings of Eko, Alaafin or so, which of those kings, wrote to the queen to come and help us solve our internecine wars, which led to colonialism.
Yeah.
That letter is on the internet. They actually wrote to the queen that we have nearly killed ourselves, finish, so please come and help us. So our ancestors were not stupid, dumb people that don't know what they were doing. Everything that happened, it was between our elite and them. The only difference they had was that they had technological advantage.
Yeah.
That's all. So,
You're not necessarily smarter. Yeah. Okay, but serious talk aside, Bants, right? There are things do, right? Your gender is always collecting stray bullets in my mouth. So I just want to let's wrap this episode up by talking about those types of things, right? So what are all the virtue signaling? Now I've gotten the word, I won't forget it again. Virtue signaling caveats people say before they say things. We are not talking about everybody, but just saying the general majority and things like that. But now let's talk about Bants. Your gender, right? When it comes to these differences, there are some of the things that I can't like. So let me speak in. Should I speak in marriage? Marriage generally, and even in workplace and things like that. Let me give some example. And I said in the previous episodes that differences are advantages. But there are some differences that are disadvantages. Right? And let me start with one. So I'll give one, you give one.
Okay.
Let me see. One of them that I would say is, I think it's the blindness to, emotional unintelligence, or what would I call it? For people who seem to be, like I said, you guys just see things one way. And yeah, emotional unintelligence, that's what I'll call it. It's prevalent. It's a disease prevalent amongst your gender. Why?
I think it should be people's disease.
No, it's yours. Emotional unintelligence?
Yes.
You people don't see.
You call it emotional unintelligence. We call it emotional oversabi. Because, for example...
No, those are two different diseases.
No.
This one I'm talking about, let me define mine.
It's the same thing. You're just defining it a different way.
If I'm defining it a different way,
I'll show you that
it's
it's
a
the same
different
thing.
thing.
You have to say it.
So emotional unintelligence, what I mean is there are some obvious let me give you some, let me use examples to define. There are some times where you'll be talking with people, chatting with some people, and I come and read the chat and I'm like, don't you see that person is being mean? Or I can come and say, don't you see that person is flirting with you? Is it true or is not true? Before you say it, is it true or is not true?
Okay.
Is it true or is not true?
Wait, there are some questions that are not yes or no.
Okay.
Let me see my own.
Okay.
This thing is in the same category of, babe, how are you? Are you angry? I'm fine. Are you angry? I'm fine. Are you angry? I'm okay.
But that's emotional unintelligence.
We will now leave the matter. And then you now start getting angry that can't you see I'm not happy?
But
you said I'm fine. It is with the mouth that someone is to make confession unto salvation.
Now you sabi.
Wait,
you need to be able to see things that we are not saying as well.
It's in the same group chat. Like
it's like people can't just get some particular things. And let's be honest, there are times where you've almost entered the porto. If I didn't save you, it's the same thing I'm talking about.
Okay, I agree.
Very good. Say it. I know something's at the tip of the tongue.
I know. I agree. Actually, I agree. Okay, so can I see my own part? Can I see my own?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, having said that, why do you people like holding on to evil? What I mean is, if something has happened, why can't we just let it go? Why can't we just be like men and just say, this is what happened, okay, I'm sorry, and that's the end, and the drama has finished. Why must it turn into, you have to ask me 3 times for me to talk about it? You have to disturb me. Can't we just
Forget
finish
it.
it.
The way guys just do my guy, and
Yes,
just
my
shake each
guy,
other and
that
then
kind of thing. Let's
move.
just enjoy our life. Life is too short for us to be
To be
stressing
mulling
ourselves
over issues and
over
going
issues
over it.
and everything. Let's just finish the matter.
But
Something bad happened.
Can I shock you, Honorable? Can I shock you?
Yes.
This thing that you guys do, right? Where you just carry carpet and throw the dust
No,
under.
we don't sweep it.
You
Sometimes we actually
always
used to
sweep
pack
it under.
We throw it outside of the house.
Wherever you want to throw it, should I shock you?
Yes.
Whether you throw it outside of the room, outside of it's still within your vicinity. Let me tell you something. It's just deception. Guys are just deceiving. Yes, understand what I'm saying. Guys are just deceiving themselves. One guy will hurt the other guy. You now be doing my guy, my guy. Instead of you to have a conversation and talk things through like emotionally intelligent human beings.
No.
Because
We
you
used to
don't
talk
like
things
to.
through. We used to talk
No,
things
you guys don't like to confront your emotions. So rather than talk about it, say my guy, it's paining you.
No.
Then you now go and be crying to
No,
your babe.
we used to talk to it. We used to talk about it.
I have
though.
never seen guys have
Ah,
emotional
no, babe, we used to talk. We
conversations.
used to say, guy, that's what you do. It don't make sense. You don't make.
How is that a conversation?
That's a conversation now. And the guys will say, guy, the thing where you two talk, self, can will finish it, and there will be no grievances again. And you will not use it to still behave in the future because you'll believe, say, we don't finish the matter, we don't finish it.
Don't know. Sometimes it still comes up. And let me tell you the truth of the matter. You guys just say, guy, that's in. And then next thing, it happens again because you really didn't solve the issue. You just moved over it and said, guy, that's it. Guy, which thing? Get to the bottom of it. Why did you do it like that? What's the assurance that you won't do it like that later? Why have you always...
Why do we have to talk about it so much? My guy said, I'm not going to do him again.
No, you have to talk about it. I'm sorry, but you have to talk about it.
Okay, but I want to say something.
Well, your last one.
I think sometimes you guys cannot appreciate how we feel about these things. It's actually genuinely stressful for us.
And it's also genuinely stressful for us.
Problem deal.
It's a serious problem.
It's actually genuinely stressful for us, like, right? Like having to... I get what you're saying, that you guys want to talk about it. You want to talk about it.
Not just because I
issue.
feel like talking. I'm not a talkative.
I know you're not a talkative
But I want
now.
to get to the bottom of it. And I want to get to the bottom of it in a bid to solve it. So that's just the difference between how both of us approach issues.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your advice now? What are you trying to tell us now?
I will give you my advice, and I'll also ask for your advice in the spirit of being emotionally intelligent, right?
Okay.
My advice is that you don't, like, you guys need shrinks. I'm sorry, a lot of guys. That's why you are having identity crisis. Pew, pew. But anyway, you all need shrinks. You need to learn to talk through your emotions, right? Because if you don't talk through it, that's how you'll be punching walls when girls break your heart. Because you can't talk through things. Yes, I said what I
Below
said.
the belt. Wow.
I said it. Instead of you to talk to you, because and I think even the way we raise guys, like raise small boys, why are you crying? Stop crying. Let him cry. And then call him and have a conversation. Why are you crying? What happened? You have to learn to be emotionally expressive. That's what I'm trying to say. I think there are benefits in it. And you people think you live. Let me end by saying this meme. I want to end so that you tell me your own advice as well. Have you ever seen this meme of guy and a girl after breakup? 1 week after breakup, the girl is crying, the guy is playing. 2 weeks after breakup, the girl is almost finished crying, the guy is playing. 1 month after breakup, the girl has moved on and the guy now breaks down.
I hear you.
I rest my case.
Okay, so we can do more for that part. But I don't think we can be sitting and be... Okay, I want to say something that will sound funny. But I think there was some value in men being asked to be stoic by our ancestors. In that, if something bad happens, all of us cannot be crying. All of us cannot be crying.
But it's to your mental detriment.
Who mental help? I don't understand. See, not all of us can be crying at the same time.
That's why the suicide rate amongst men are higher.
No.
So, I'm trying to help you
after
solve
the
this
stats
problem.
actually says that women threaten more. Okay, yeah, I'll still be making your point for you. Okay.
Oh, yeah, make the point for me now.
Women threaten to have to do suicide more, but men actually carry it out more. Okay, this is what I mean. If something bad happens, all of us cannot be crying. One person will be the one telling you don't cry, and all that. So
have
I
you
think
seen
that's
that
where,
trend of guys comforting each other when
yes now.
Oh God.
Yes now, your father dies, you make fun of it, say, why did you kill your father? All those kind of things to make him feel better. Not all can be crying, be saying, we crying. Let some people cry, let some people be. So that in the future, when you have now resolved your own, there are those of us that are now breaking down, you now help us. But I think there was a place for men being asked to be stoic.
Okay.
But I think there's also a biological basis for it. I think on the average, men are, I don't even know. don't know.
We'll talk about it after this episode, okay? All right, that brings us to the end of our episode. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.